Welcome to Behind the Law with Justin Clark, the show that takes you behind the law and answers your toughest legal questions.
Welcome back to another edition of Behind the Law. I'm here with attorney Justin Clark. If you are stuck in the middle of a foreclosure, you need to give us a call right now. And the offices of Gregory and Clark are 321-282-1055, 321-282-1055. And before we get back to the conversation, I want to assure you, whether you're watching on TV or whether you're back home on the radio right now, these guys at Gregory and Clark are working every day, nearly around the clock. I just happened to be in their neighborhood yesterday, taking a few hours off in the middle of the day, and so I drove out there, take the Raymond off of 434 and right on up to Booth Circle, and there were the cars right in front of the law offices right there.
Saving houses,
amazing.
man.
You're in there working.
It's not easy saving homes, bro.
I guess not. It's unbelievable. These people are working for you to get it done. Special, very special guest this week. If you watched last week on TV or you were with us the last half hour on radio, John LeGros is with us right now. And John came to the law firm from the, quote, other side of the street.
Bad
okay?
guys.
He came from over there on 434 where all the banks are and those legal offices versus the legal offices over where Justin are that are protecting the homeowner. So now he's seen the light. He's come to the other side. We joke around with him a lot. But he brings so much to the table. Because who would you rather have on your side than an attorney firm that's been doing this for 3 or 4 years, who pioneered this type of work in the marketplace, and that is helping people with modifications and foreclosure defense, not getting you a free house, but helping you get a home you can afford. But who would you rather have? Them with somebody who's been on the other side who kind of knows the way the ropes are tossed around? Or just a law firm that's going to just send letters and call you and charge you every time you pick up the phone? Well, no, that's the game on the other side of the ledger. So back to our conversation.
Yeah, and of course, we do a flat fee, so you never have to worry about us charging you every time you pick up the phone. Every foreclosure case we handle is a flat fee, no cost, no copy charges. It's just one flat fee.
I charge you the same,
and
whether
people
I'm
pay
doing radio, TV, washing your car, whatever it is.
Whether I show up here or not, I get charged, huh? But I'm here every day anyway, and I'm glad to have John on board with me as a business partner. And I'm very appreciative of the knowledge that you bring from the bank side. I feel like I'd gleaned a lot of knowledge going through these thousands of foreclosure cases, but always from this side. And it's nice to get your insight into it. And, a lot of times when the bank files foreclosure against you, you go back and forth with them, and you're talking to the bank, and they say, oh, we have all your documents. Oh, no, we don't have all your documents. Well, you lost them. No, I have the fax confirmation that you got my documents. I don't care then. Okay, we'll just foreclose on you. It's a nightmare for people going through this process. But then we have this savior, this mediation process. Now that they filed foreclosure, we're able to mediate, meaning we're going to go sit there with the bank, with that bank's law firm, with the mediator, and we're going to resolve this thing. John, tell me about the mediation process in foreclosure cases.
I've done probably several thousand mediations from the bank side.
Wow.
And I would have to say, Justin, on an average of successful signed agreements at the table, I probably had less than 10 out of the thousands that I've done.
Ooh. This is not surprising to me.
It's not surprising to me either.
Good.
The way the system is set up, it's almost designed to not reach a resolution simply because the document that the borrower has to produce is so intensive and so particular that it's almost impossible to come up with a complete package. And that goes for mediation as well. The only benefit that I ever saw at mediation was there was a chance for now I'm on the good side of the table, the borrower and their attorney to say, what documents do I really need? Right. Where do I send it? Who do I talk to? And that's how 99% of mediations resolve, is just a plan of action. Here's who you need to call. Here's where the documents you need to send. And that's it. There's really no resolution. And by the way, the courts in their infinite wisdom changed the rules now to say if you go through the court-ordered program, you have to pay $250 to go to this mediation that pretty much won't result in anything other than you're going to have to send more documents.
Well, the courts have changed the rules, but as Justin has pointed out over the past several weeks, now the legislature in Florida has changed the rules. And I don't know if this is one of these occurrences where the legislature in Florida only has 3 months to meet, and oftentimes in an effort to cure a problem, whether that be red light collisions or whether that be foreclosures, they have passed a wide sweep. And in years to follow or months to follow, they've found that a lot of that probably was misdirected, to make it polite. What do you think about this fast-track foreclosure bill that was whisked through the House and the Senate, signed by the governor late on a Friday afternoon, never really made the headlines until we started talking about it on these two stations?
I'll tell you exactly what I think about it. I'm not going to pull any punches here. I think it's stupid. I think that the housing market here has risen significantly, especially in Central Florida. The housing market has gone up substantially. And I think a lot of that is because the foreclosure process has taken a long time. So we haven't had a whole lot of houses come back on the market from the foreclosure aspect of it. Because if had they all come out at once, which is what they seem to be trying to do, we're not going to have any gains in the real estate market. You see what I'm saying? So now right as the housing market's starting to go up, the legislator says, okay, let's fast-track foreclosures so we can get all these houses back on the market. Are you stupid? I mean, seriously, this doesn't make any sense. It's been a governor on the housing market rise. The housing market's been rising 30% in some spots. A lot of that is because we haven't had all of the houses come out all at once. So I think this is a really stupid idea. Let me tell you what it does. The banks don't want this either. The banks aren't. The banks, from a big perspective, aren't dumb. They're business people too up at the top. They do not want this to pass. This is only helping homeowners associations because what it does is it allows second lien holders like an HOA to force the issue, to force a judge to kick my client and their family out of their home. It gives more power to homeowners associations that needs no more power. HOAs have enough power. The banks really have no interest in making this process go faster. It's going at a nice speed for them, okay? But the HOAs now can just basically send a letter to the court and force the judge to make a decision to kick my client out.
We're going to take another break, but you can get legal advice right now by calling Justin's office at 321-282-1055. Associates are standing by. We'll be right back. Did you see any instances of banks that just didn't seem to give a darn?
Stay tuned. Justin Clark will be right back with more Behind the Law. Welcome to Behind the Law with Justin Clark, the show that takes you behind the law and answers your toughest legal questions.
What are the banks doing now? Now, you were on the legal side of it, so I know you weren't in the day-to-day operation. But if John Smith's house had been foreclosed upon and he got scared, so he moved in with the in-laws or he found a rental across town, he's not maintaining the lawn, he's not maintaining the pool, he's not maintaining the upkeep of the neighborhood, he's not paying the HOA. What is the bank doing REO-wise, real estate investment-wise? Are they doing anything to keep up the physical plan?
No, they hire people to go out and maintain the property and make sure the lawn's cut. And then, incidentally, once it goes into foreclosure, all of those great costs that they incurred get passed on to you through the foreclosure process. So it all comes back to the borrower anyway. So regardless of how if you pay the HOA, you pay anything, it's going to come back around to you unless you work out a good deal.
Now, I don't want to see you get run over in a country club parking lot or anything, but did you see any instances of banks that just didn't seem to give a darn and said, get them?
I think the banks that did not participate in the HAMP or the government programs are the ones you need to be afraid of, because those are the banks that are going to say there's no options. You need to pay us X percentage of what you owe, or we're not going to work out a deal at all. Those are the banks you need to be leery of. I could probably list them, but I think most people could figure out if they participated or not.
We like to keep you safe, at least in our parking lot. But, Justin, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Let me explain a little bit of the setup with the banks and their lawyers, okay? And most people don't understand this. When you get served foreclosure papers by a bank, the bank that, you're talking directly to the bank, and then you get these foreclosure papers from another law firm, typically in Tampa or South Florida. A couple here in Orlando, but normally Tampa, South Florida. The law firm that you're dealing with and you're talking to them, first of all, they're overwhelmed. They're not going to be quite as responsive, but also they're 99% of the time not in charge of doing that modification or doing that short sale. You're going to do that directly through the bank. But the interesting part of this is when you go to court, when you go to that summary judgment or you go to any hearing, and you expect that law firm to show up, they're not going to be there. They hire what's called a local counsel. They have people in each city who all they do is show up at hearings, and they have absolutely no sort of authority whatsoever. I mean, you go there and say, okay, well, can you just approve this modification? I can't. I don't have any power to do that. I don't work for this law firm or the bank. They're literally just hired for that hearing to show up at that courtroom that day and be essentially a warm body. Is that how it works, John?
That's who I was. I worked for between, I'd say, 10 and 15 different law firms that would hire me to show up just for the hearings or just for the mediation. And people would ask if I had any authority to work something out. Can I call the bank? And frankly, I had no authority because I was not the real law firm representing the person, the bank itself. So I had no authority. I could just pass on the information or say, please call this number and you can talk to someone, which again ran into lots of problems.
Now, we're probably sitting in a situation where you're not hearing about short sales and foreclosures on the nightly news. So you're wondering, is this still a problem? Is there still a big bunch of homes out there that need to go through the process? Or if you're going through it, you know it's real. Is there help available? We want to tackle that when we get back.
Is your house underwater? If you owe more than your house is worth, Justin Clark may be able to get you an interest reduction through the HAMP and HARP programs. It's an easy way for you to keep your home or even just lower your monthly payments. Just give the offices of Gregory & Clark a call at 321-282-1055. There's never any charge for your consultation. So let Justin show you your options. We'll be right back.
They gave me such a bad time. They told me don't make any more payments. If you do, we're just going to call that a gift, and that's going to be the end of it.
Stay tuned. Justin Clark will be right back with more Behind the Law. Welcome back to Behind the Law, the show that takes you behind the law and answers your toughest legal questions.
And let's go to Bob on the line. Bob, how can we help you with your dilemma?
Well, 5 years, it's been 5 years, over 5 years, I haven't made a payment on a house. At the beginning, I tried to get a forbearance. They took it away. They went to foreclosure. Nothing happened. So I filed bankruptcy on the mortgage. I surrendered the mortgage and the house, I guess, in the bankruptcy. I know they still have a lien on that property, but I went to do a deed in lieu with them, and they were all gung-ho. And then I filled these papers out with an attorney on New Year's Eve, and I sent it back to him, and this other attorney said all that was short sale papers. The house has been sitting there. I had squatters in it at the time. I finally got them out with the help of Volusia County Sheriff and stuff. The house has been vandalized several times.
Let me stop you right there, Bob. Do you have any desire to keep this house at all, or no?
Well, I kind of would like to.
Are you renting where you live now? Where do you live
now? No, sir,
now?
I own my home.
Okay, so you own another home. I don't see any reason why you want to try to keep this house that's so far underwater because you already did a bankruptcy. So you don't have to worry about the deficiency. And so I think your goal now is like, hey, guys, please come take this house out of my name so I don't have to worry about squatters coming and then suing me because I still own it. Is that sort of your concern?
Well, I put insurance on the house because I let it lapse during the deed in lieu process because I thought it was going to be gone. This house is like a curse. It just doesn't want to go away.
Yeah.
Basically, I love the house, but it's just they gave me such a bad time. They told me don't make any more payments. If you do, we're just going to call that a gift, and that's going to be the end of it, and we're going to foreclose. So I did. I moved out, and this builder sold me a house, and I got a mortgage.
Got it.
Wow.
Well, Bob, a lot of people went through the same situation back 5 years ago. They said, hey, bank, I got in a little bit of trouble. Can you please give me help? And they say, okay, Bob, yeah, we're going to help you. Just stop making payments for the next 3 months, and then call us up, and we'll help you out. And now this 5-year run of things begins because the bank used to always say, stop paying us or we're not talking to you. And it's really changed Bob's life. Now he's had to go out and buy a new house, file bankruptcy, and he's still stuck with this house. My one piece of advice probably would have been, in retrospect, I mean, if they're going to treat you that way, you might as well have stayed there for free the last 5 years. But we didn't do that. So to me, it seems to me the best thing to do is try to get this house out of your name, be done with it. I'm sure it's very far underwater. If you didn't already buy another house, I would say, okay, let's try to figure out how to save this house. We can stop renting and move back in. You already have another house that you like. I'd say get rid of that house, be done with it. It's already in the bankruptcy. But try to do that deed in lieu and get out of your name.
All right, Chuck, let's get you on the air.
Okay. My question is I went through a foreclosure. The bank did everything they wanted to do, and they got the house. But I had a equity loan on the house with another bank, and that loan I didn't pay. And I was wondering, I went through they got a judgment against me, and now I'm paying like $50 a month. And I increased it to $100 on my own, and I'm wondering if they can come after me for any lump sums. I don't have any property or anything else. It's coming back on me in September to see if they want me to adjust the higher payment.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering if I can go back to court on that.
Well, I mean, I don't see any reason you're going to be able to go back to court. They have a judgment against you, and they can try to collect on that judgment any way anyone can collect on a judgment. And that's try to garnish wages or whatever. I'd imagine you're hopefully head of household, so you have some protections that a lot of people won't. You could always file bankruptcy and get rid of that.
We're going to take a short break, but before we go, are you struggling to make your mortgage payments? Refinancing your mortgage is an easy solution that could save your home. And Justin Clark has worked on thousands of such cases. Just give the offices of Gregory and Clark a call right now. 321-282-1055, and a free consultation with Justin will give you your options. We'll be right back.
And I say, sir, that you're having a rational thought there. Please stop. There are no rational thoughts in dealing with banks and modifications and foreclosure.
Couldn't they tack it on the end?
You would think so, right?
Stay tuned. Justin Clark will be right back with more Behind the Law. Welcome back to Behind the Law, the show that takes you behind the law and answers your toughest legal questions.
Let's just get into it right now, John. Let's talk a little bit about how these law firms that represent banks get paid.
Well, I think, first of all, I had the opportunity of meeting David Stern way back in 2008. Happened to be in court. Many people may know the infamous David Stern had the firm down in South Florida.
Lots of trouble.
Lots of trouble. Well, anyway, I met with him, and I was doing work for them back in the day, as a lot of local coverage attorneys were. Yeah. One of the things that he explained to me is the process of how banks get paid and how the lawyers get paid from the foreclosure actions. And he would tell me that after they would do certain events, for example, they would file the lawsuit, serve everyone, then they could get a draw from the bank. So he told me the big thing that they want to do is rush things to happen because that's when he could get paid from the bank. They had to front all the money, and then once they accomplished certain events, they could get paid. So they were rushing things in order to get their fee because they were fronting everything, and if they didn't, they weren't going to get paid. And the banks all grade all of the law firms, too. If certain events don't happen within certain time frames, they get a bad grade. It's graded like you get a grade in school, A, B, C, D, F. You know, on. So the worse grade you get, the less referrals you get from the banks, the less money you're going to make. That goes back to the pro se question. When you're pro se in a lawsuit, the banks still treat that as uncontested. Even though you may file an answer, even though you may file something, the banks treat it as uncontested. And the law firms do too, because they realize that this is not going to be a complicated case. Most of the time when people are representing themselves, they file a pro se answer that just says, hey, I'm trying to work something with the bank. I really want some time to work this out. That's not a sufficient answer. That's not a defense to the foreclosure. So even though you think you're defending this case, the bank and the attorneys are looking at it like, okay, we can get to judgment very quickly because they haven't raised any defenses to this lawsuit. That's what I saw all the time.
Well, what I see the vast majority of people when they come into my office who have been trying to represent themselves, Rob, when you get served with the lawsuit, you have 20 days to file an answer or a motion to dismiss. But these are legal documents. Most of the time people come in and say, oh, I already answered the complaint. And they'll send me a letter that they wrote to the judge saying, dear judge, we've been trying to work with this bank and bank won't call me back. That doesn't exactly work that well. Right. You know, I think for a very small fee, you can hire a very good law firm to help you through this process. And it scares me when John tells me stories about how the law firms for the lenders treat people who send that letter in, who want to represent themselves, who think they know what they're doing because they Google searched how to defend a foreclosure.
Not good.
And now you can see the bank and the law firm laughing behind the scenes, saying, "Woo," and they're only going to make a certain amount of money because they know this is an easy one. But once you get a law firm involved, it changes everything. Oftentimes when clients come in my office, they say the same thing. They say, Justin, I know I lost my job, but my wife is still working, so we have half the income. I called the bank and I said, hey, bank, can't you just lower my payment to $900 a month instead of $1,200 a month, and I'll keep paying you? And I say, sir, that you're having a rational thought there. Please stop. There are no rational thoughts in dealing with banks and modifications
Couldn't
and foreclosure.
they tack it on the end?
You would think so, right? And I mean, that would be called a forbearance. That's another program. You got to go through the whole process. There's no just calling up a local bank and saying, hey, can you help me? And I get it all the time. People will come in my office and say, I went down to my local B of whatever branch,
Sure.
big bank branch, and I said, what a waste of time. I mean, the local branch guy it's not their fault. They have no ability whatsoever to help you with the modification. They can basically sit there with you and call the 1-800 number and say, hi, this is a good friend of mine. Can you please help? But you might as well call them from home. The local branch has no power to do anything whatsoever.
They're not doing business the way the rest of the American economy does it. If you own a public company, that public company is not worth anything at 9 o'clock in the morning until the stock market opens.
Right.
It is worth what the people say it's going to be worth.
Yep.
If I can't make the payment of $1,500 and I can make $1,200 for 6 months till I get a job, it just seems like it would have saved so many homes, so much heartache, so many marriages, so much child abuse, so much everything if we just would have worked with everybody.
You would think
Good
so.
God, it's so stupid.
John, welcome to the good side, brother. We're very happy to have you. And Scott Richards over there, Kyle, Ted, your group, Leisha's here with us today as well. And Rob Newton, as always.
People don't understand how many people it takes to do this.
It's quite a production. There's a big truck outside that says WFTV on it,
Outside a radio studio. People don't understand what's going on. That'll wrap up our discussion, but there's still so much to talk about that could save your home. So if you have questions, give the offices of Gregory and Clark a call right now at 321-282-1055. There's never a charge for a consultation, and it could save your home.
Thank you for watching Behind the Law with Justin Clark. Be sure to join us again next week as Justin takes you behind the law and answers your legal questions.